Well, Mariam, thank you so much for joining the Toosan Podcast. I am so thrilled to be here with you for episode one. We're going to jump right into things. Mariam, tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you create the concept of Hawa Feminist Coalition before forming the organization? Is it something you dreamt about, or when did you realize that this was a mission that you felt as though you had to take on?
Thank you so much, Sara. And and let me go ahead and introduce myself, maybe. And I am Mariam Hussein, a Somali feminist activist dedicated to addressing the injustices faced by women and girls in our male-dominated society. And growing up, I witnessed firsthand of how Somali culture often marginalizes women, limiting their access to opportunities and decision-making roles. Yet, I saw the incredible resilience of women in my community, including my own mother. These experiences led me to co-found the Hawa Feminist Coalition to empower women and amplify their voices. And as a Muslim, my faith in Islam principles of justice and equality strengthens my advocacy. And Islam values the contributions of women, historical examples like Khadija radiallahu anha, and reminds us of this, and that will wipe away the controversy of feminism most people think that it is westernized and ideology.
Mariam, if you don't mind me asking, how old were you when this vision came to you for forming the organization?
I was a teenager, from high school. I was 18 or 17 when I saw these challenges, and there was a passion in my heart. I had to come up with the idea that I can challenge with these patriarchal norms in our society.
Oh, did you have conversations about this with people you went to school with? Or, I mean, is this something that you just kind of kept in your mind, this vision that you had that you knew you had to bring into the real world? Or, I mean, was this just something, you talked about with your friends at lunchtime every day that, you had to follow through with this?
Yes. Mainly for the girls I went with the school with, they had the same vision as me. They have the same idea of equality in their hearts.
Oh gosh, that's so inspiring, Mariam. Jeez. As far as, I mean, because you actually made this happen, what was your childhood like? You said your mom was very inspiring to you. Did you have a very supportive childhood growing up? Did your mom always, encourage you and give you that positive reinforcement?
Yes, my mother is the strongest person I know in my whole life. She is a single mother who was the eldest of her family, raised us and her siblings with the help of no men.
Oh, wow.
Like many women, she became the primary caretaker and the provider, demonstrating the extraordinary resilience and selflessness. So I'm proud to be brought up by her and following her footsteps as a strong, independent woman shed light to what I am doing today.
Oh my gosh, I bet she's so proud of you. Do you guys remain close today?
Yes.
And do you have all sisters or do you have brothers? Or what was your household like growing up?
Yeah, for me, I had for my mother, and I had two siblings, but from the father's side, we are a very big family, more than 21 siblings.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. And throughout your life so far, Mariam, what are some major issues that you've seen in Somalia that you would like to see change? Like from your perspective, how do you think that the change is possible and what approach could be taken I know as far as you highlighted what you advocate for, but in the big picture of things, what would you like to see happen, and what approaches do you think would be best?
Yeah, in Somalia, they have so many challenges. I say it's a male-dominated country, and as a woman, we have to face inequalities, and also we have practices like FGM, gender-based violence, early marriage, and I think challenging those and being very eye-open about them can change a lot of things. As we do in Hawa Feminist Coalition, we do leadership trainings for women, and I think the building capacity of young women to challenge societal norms and lead challenges will change a lot in our society. And we do in our work, we advocate against gender-based violence, and I think raising awareness and working to end harmful practices will also can be the end of the problems that we have in our society and our community.
Well said, Mariam. I really love the fact that you and the Hawa Feminist Coalition, we're essentially trailblazers in Somalia as far as being, I haven't seen any other organization that is like yours. Were you the first feminist organization in Somalia? Or were there any other organizations that were similar that inspired you?
We actually were the first and the only feminist movement is working in Somalia that we have seen.
That's so incredible. And how many members do you currently have?
I think we founded and established this coalition in 2018, and over the years we have many more members that joined us throughout the years. But now I can say that above 300 are officially members.
Okay, and that's in Somalia?
Yes, in Somalia.
And then, of course, I found you guys, and I don't live in Somalia. So you have global members too. For all you listening out there, if you're interested, of course, we will include the links at the end of the show, so you can check out the website and join us on social media to participate in online functions too. So, Mariam, do you think that there's a lot of resistance to change from what we just talked about and the things that you highlighted? Because obviously, like all throughout the world, there is patriarchy that exists in societies, some more so than others. Of course, culture has a lot to do with it, and the way things have been. Things get modernized, which sometimes people are resistant to change, and they don't like change. What do you think is the cause of that? And why, in your opinion, do you feel as though that there is so much resistance? Because, and I'm curious what your perspective is, at least from my perspective, being a feminist is not all about just women, right? Like you had mentioned, it's about community, it's about equality. And for communities to prosper, having that equality within the community only opens up more doors for everyone to have prosperity, because there's enough for everyone. What do you, from your perspective, what do you think some of the things are that is causing resistance to change?
Yes, there are so many things that are resisting to change. And one of the main examples that people, they don't like changes at all, which is a great challenge for us to bring challenge. But if we keep resisting, if we keep challenging, there will be a change for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting too, if we take a look at even like the last 50 years, how society has evolved not only in Somalia, but also, throughout the world in different communities that change has happened and women's rights and progress in that area. And it always creates more opportunity for everyone. The woman is such a backbone of the family. And I think that's why I love about your organization that promotes empowerment and leadership and community, because it's just so important.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
And how has women's community helped you in your life personally?
So as I said before, Somali women community, I say when we say feminism is not about only women, it's all about society, as you mentioned before. But to be specific, Somali women, like as I said before, like my mother, they have so much potential. They are the men and the provider of the, if not all, most of Somali families. So when we see them struggling after the civil war 1991, they became the, as Somali we say tir, which is the stem that houses stand for. So when we see them, their potential, what they can do, it also inspires us to be independent, to be equal humans, to have a dignity, to have a safety and rights that we, from the community that we live in. So it gives us the sense to fight for our rights and advocate for injustice, to advocate for against and GBF and FGM practices and early marriage and all of that.
Oh, wow. I love the fact that you brought up safety too, because, and, it's interesting, how we have to say fight for and advocate for, it'll be a much better world when we get to a point where that's not necessary, right? When there's a balance of the masculine and the feminine within, the community, because it's interesting what happens. I mean, just, if you look at how relationships are, when that masculine and feminine is balanced, a relationship is so much stronger. The community is so much stronger when there's that support from one another.
Yes, 100% agree with you. And as a feminine, and you mentioned that masculinity and femininity and the world that you mentioned is the world that we are fighting for. Is a country, is the image that we are putting in our heads and say that's the world that we want to live in. We have the rights to coexist as equal human beings.
Yes, very much so. And I think when we get to that point, which I do have hope and a movement forward as we progress and as we evolve as humans in the world, I think, we'll eventually get to a point where, women will be unexploitable, because as it stands now, where we see that inequality, women tend to be more exploited. But as we empower the feminine, as we work towards empowering one another through advocacy and community and strengthening our communities, it's only strengthening women so they can stand for themselves and not be exploited.
Those 100% agree with you.
And Mariam, so for our listeners to get to know you a little bit more, I want to kind of dive into a little bit more about you and what gave you the idea to start a podcast, for Hawa Feminist Coalition to start a podcast?
It was a team idea, not just my idea. And we see, as a Toosan Podcast, we chose Toosan which means the Somali word for, if you translate it, means upright or just. Because it symbolizes our vision for a society that values fairness and equality.
I love that.
Toosan also challenges patriarchal norms that restrict women's opportunities. It's a call for Somali women to stand up for their rights and reminds us of their strength and leadership in Somali families and community. So that was basically the need. There's a need because in our society, oral traditions are powerful medium of communication. So Toosan will provide a modern platform for discussing critical issues like gender inequality, FGM, and violence against women. And as I said before, Somali women are the heart of Somali families, but their voices are often marginalized in public spaces. And I believe also that this podcast will offer a space for storytelling and advocacy, giving women the platform they deserve.
Absolutely. Oh gosh, I'm so proud and thankful to be a volunteer for you guys because I love your vision and mission and in the direction that you are taking this because it's so important. I'm all for free speech and no censorship and for you to have a platform for people to discuss something that's so sensitive of a topic and there's a stigma around it really and as we present it and talk about it more there's less of that because more people feel as though that they're in a safe space and they're able to be vulnerable and it's okay. And I think that's necessary for healing to happen. So the fact that you guys are doing this, I think it's going to be a really good thing for the community there.
It will. And I want to take a moment to thank you for establishing and the effort that you put into this podcast, It was a very, I can appreciate it more. It would never happen without you. Thank you so much, Sara, on behalf of the team and from my side. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. My pleasure to support. And Mariam, so how can listeners reach out if they want to be on the show? And do you have some upcoming guests already? Or have some people approached you yet that want to be on the show?
Yeah, we do have a guest list, but anyone is free to join the podcast. And we have our socials, and we have Instagram. Also, we have a Hawa Feminist Coalition on social, so they can reach out to us, and we are happy to interview and they can be part of this podcasters.
Great. And Mariam, I'll definitely be sure everyone listening, you can look in the comments. I'll include all the social links for Hawa Feminist Coalition as well as Toosan Podcast as well, and the email that you can directly communicate with someone about being on the show as well. And how do you think, Mariam, the power of conversation can create change? Because we talked about as far as advocating for all of the things that we've discussed, but specifically conversation, how do you think it can help create change?
I am a strong believer that, we are a very oral community, very oral tradition. Words change lives. I think words are not as simple as two. I think words can bring more changes because there will be information about them, and when you know something, you can change something. So it's all about gaining information. It's all about storytelling, and hopefully there will be changes according to that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think too, you know, you creating a platform allowing people to tell their story or talk about topics that aren't always talked about, that need to be talked about, to normalize things, and also to, to speak out about against things that things that aren't okay, like violence against women and FGM, things of that nature. You know, it's not easy always talking about it, and I think the podcast is definitely going to reach out to people and touch people's hearts, and also create more people who want to create a change for the better. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%.
For future episodes, do you plan to be the host, or are you going to have other members of the coalition host?
Yeah, there will be a host in our coalition. Her name is Nadira Abdurrahman, and there will be episode each month.
Excellent. Great. Well, everyone listening, be sure to connect with Hawa Feminist Coalition on social media, connect with them, and tune in for future episodes. Mariam, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time for this. And it's an honor and a pleasure to know you, because you have accomplished so much at such a young age. It's incredible how much you've done and what you continue to do for your community and for Somalia.
Thank you so much. I'm also honored and grateful for your presence in Hawa Feminist Coalition, and your membership and your volunteering did a lot of positive things happen to us, and we are very grateful for your presence. And thank you for everyone who's listening to this episode. Thank you so much.
Take care, Mariam.
Take care, Sara.
Bye.
Bye-bye.